Alright, so I have some SQLITE databases here. I've got a bunch of them in this option prices folder, and I've realized that I've made a mistake on all of these databases, and I need to go through and find an efficient way to update all of them. And so, unfortunately, I haven't been able to find a way where I can just issue one command to all of them, but I have been able to figure out a way that can get this done in about 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to walk through how to do that. So in order to help us, I'm going to open up the folder where the databases lie, and I'm going to bring in a couple of files here that are going to help us. And if you've watched my video where I talk about bulk importing into Task Scheduler, you'll recognize these items. Let's go over to Visual Studio Code and walk through the codes here. Alright, so the very first file here is a Python script, and what this does is it looks through the folder that's currently open to and returns all of the names of the files in there. Now, we don't want these first three, so it begins on the fourth item here, and all of these are going to have these three items here, and then so for all of these folders with the databases in them, the very first one that we're going to want is going to be number 4. So it's going to be the same for all of them. Looks at that with list dir, and it returns those items into a data frame. It then takes that and moves it to a list, and it prints it to the text file down here. So when we run this, you'll notice that we don't get what we want. We actually get the names of the tickers here that are in this option price data folder, and that's because we're opened currently to option price data. It has a bunch of folders inside of that folder, and then inside of all of these subfolders live the databases. So we have to move into whatever stock folder that our databases live in. We're going to do that by coming right down here and doing CD and then type in the stock ticker that is the folder is named after. And so now we're open to this meta, and we can run this code again, and now we get the name of those databases, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looking good. So we can come over to the text file here and see that those have been recorded here. However, we do have a couple of layout issues that we got to solve. We need these to just be the names of these databases with no brackets, no apostrophes, and no spaces. So we're going to do that by hitting Control H on the keyboard to pull up Find and Replace. And then in this Find field, we're going to put what we don't want. So I'm going to do the opening bracket there, and then we'll put nothing in the Replace column, and we'll go ahead and replace that. We can hit Control Alt Enter to also have it actually do the replace. So I'll do that going forward. I'm going to put the thing I want to erase, Control Alt Enter, apostrophe, Control Alt Enter, and then space, Control Alt Enter. And so now it's looking good. We'll hit Control S to save that. Come back out here. Now that we've gotten our text file good to go, we can do this fourth one. Now in this situation, these are not going to change. So we could just, if we wanted to, skip this Python code and just type out the names of these databases here. However, if you had a folder where these could be changing, this is where the Python script would come in handy, because you would be able to run this and you wouldn't have to constantly be updating this text file based on what's currently in the folder. So we'll come down here to the command now. You can see here that we're setting a variable of databases to that ticker text file. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to change this, because you can see this is for an other folder. I'm going to change this to the current folder that I'm in, which is meta. I'll save that, Control S. That's going to go over to this text file, pull these values, put it into a variable called databases, and then it'll run through all of these and issue the command of SQLITE 3 and then the name of the database. So let's go ahead and give this a run. So first it'll print what's in the database variable to make sure that we've gotten everything we want. I see all 6 of those files, so we're looking good. So I'll hit any key to continue. Now you can see what it's done here is it has issued SQLITE 3 and then the name of that database for the very first one. So we can now issue a command into the database. Now if we come over here and pull up our database, the error that I have is that when I made this database, I wanted the strikes to be here in column 3 and the option type to be over here in column 4. But you can see I switched those around. So I need to take column 4, move it to column 3, then have all of the items from column 3 and move them to column 4. So to do that, I'm going to come right down here to this SQLITE command, and I'm going to type update the name of the table, which is option history, set strike, which is column 3, equal to option type, which is column 4, and I'm going to set option type, which is column 4, to the values in strike, which is column 3. Hit enter, semicolon at the end, and then if I go ahead and print this by doing select star from the table name, we can see now that the strike numbers are in column 3 and the option types are in column 4. So now I'll back out by doing .quit, and that automatically brings me to my next database in there. So I can use this update command. I can copy this onto a Word document and then I'll copy it into my clipboard. So all I'm going to have to do is paste this in here. I'll hit enter and then .quit to move on to the next one. So Command V to copy, .quit, Command V, .quit. Okay, now we just updated all 6 in a really short amount of time. So now let's go ahead and open a sample of these databases to see if it's made our changes or not. So I can open this, come to Browse Data, and we can see that the numbers are now in column 3 for the strike, and the names are now in the 4th column for option types. So that's worked well. Let's take one more, make sure, and you can see it worked there as well. So now just to run through this one more time, I'm going to come up here to Meta. I'm going to copy these first 3. I'm going to come down to my next folder with the databases in there, Netflix. I'm going to paste those in there. I'm going to clear out the text file, Control S to save. And I'll come down to the imports to task schedule and change this file folder from Meta to Netflix. Control S to save. And I'll come up here to my tickers and file. I'll run this code. We're going to get the wrong ones at first. We're going to say CD Netflix, and then we'll run this again. And you can see that gives us the name of all 6 of these databases. We can come over here to this text file, Control H. We'll enter those 4 items that we need to remove: the open bracket, close bracket, apostrophe, and the space. We'll hit Control Alt Enter to get rid of those. And then we'll hit Control S to save that text file. Come back here to import to task schedule. We'll go ahead and run this. Looks good there. I'll hit a key to continue. It automatically opens up to our first database. I'm going to copy the command that we're wanting to enter. I'll paste it here. Enter, .quit. Control V to paste, .quit. And I'm just going to update all of them this same structure, right? Paste that in there and then type .quit.